Alright, I know what you're thinking. Don't you have another build you still haven't finished? My B5M drag car just needs a body and a few small things, but I had to order paint. So I decided it was time to finally make a little video on this build I've been working on for a long time. A very, very long time. I began designing a chassis for a micro RC drag car about 4 months ago now. These are a bunch of the different test chassis I printed and then made changes to until I got to my current design. I designed this chassis to use slot car components since they are strong, lightweight, and readily available. So let's start the build with the axle bearings that press into the holes in the chassis. These are flanged 3/32 inch bearings that fit the hardened 3/32 inch axle. Phew, that was kind of hard to say. Before sliding the axle all the way through, the spur gear, or crown gear in this case, needs to be slid into place. Now I can put on the rear wheels. These are ProTrack 1 1/16 inch by 0.7 inch slot car wheels with foam tires. They are secured to the axle using a small set screw. Loctite is a must for these screws. You can see the tires look a little shiny. That's from the traction compound needed to get these foam tires to hook on the concrete. Next up is assembling the front end, starting with the servo. I put a little piece of double-sided tape on the bottom of this micro servo to help hold it in place. Then on top of that is the piece I call the upper arm. This clamps the servo to the chassis as well as provides a mounting location for the steering blocks. The steering blocks are next. They are pretty simple, with just a cylinder with a screw going through it and a steering arm coming off the side. They fit between the chassis and upper arm and get screwed on but not too tight since they still need to rotate. With both of them installed, I can now install the front wheels. These are also made by ProTrack and match the rears. They slide right onto the screws in the steering blocks. Since this was a specific diameter screw to fit the inside of the wheel perfectly, I had to design and 3D print my own nuts and a tool to install them with. Wow, that sounded way worse when I said it out loud. Anyway, these thread right on, even though their size makes them a little difficult to work with. The wheels spin freely as long as the nut isn't over tightened. Now that we've got a rolling chassis, I can put some electronics in, starting with the motor. I have this micro brushless motor mounted to the motor plate that can slide on the chassis. One of the hardest parts of the whole build is soldering the pinion on the motor. These tiny slot car pinions don't have a set screw to attach it to the motor, so they must be soldered on. It took some patience, but I got it. The motor plate screws from the bottom, and here you can see how it slides to set the gear mesh. You can also see that I have the crown gear installed on the wrong side, so I guess I'll be taking the rear axle back apart to fix that. It was actually easier for me to take the motor back out and slide the gear over. The gear mesh needs to be set just like any other RC. Not tight, but not loose either. I'm now installing the steering linkage. The screws here also can't be over tightened so that the arm can pivot. Next up is the wheelie bar, which is just screwed to the rear of the chassis. The bearings are pushed onto the axle of the wheelie bar, and it is installed with a screw on each side. Now I can get the rest of the electronics installed. I used a cheap 35 amp brushless ESC for now. Once I'm out of the concept phase of the build, I'll find something better. I'm currently running it on a 3S LiPo, and everything just barely fits under the body. I'm gonna run this Chevy S10 style styrene slot car body. My goal is to make this chassis compatible with the slot car drag racing bodies, as well as some 1/24th scale and 1/25th scale model bodies. Unfortunately, it's been raining every day here for the past week or so I haven't been able to run it with this final chassis design. Hopefully this weekend I can get out with this truck as well as the B5M drag car and get some footage of some test passes. Until then, let me know what you think of this project and if you're excited to see it running in the comments below. My plan is to work on some more 3D printed builds, including my jet boat that a lot of people have been asking about. I think I've found a fix for the problem I was having, so be on the lookout for that. Anyway, leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Peace.